views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
You're looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Light on Living. I'm Light Coach Lisa, holistic nutritionist and life coach, helping to lighten the load of life's challenges. And speaking of which, I thought I would share with the listeners today, thank you all for being here, is I chose to have this show on Mondays specifically because Mondays are that reset, like, okay, we're in for a new week. Let's start it over. And I know it can be challenging sometimes too. So here you go. You wake up, you're like, Monday, I got the whole week to do it. I've got lots of opportunity, but I don't know. I'm a little stressed here too because there's so much to do. Or worse, you don't know what to do. You haven't yet found what fulfills you, what your passion is, what your thing is. And that can seem really overwhelming in itself. And so I wanted to do shows on Mondays to get people going, uplift their spirits, and hopefully have guests that help you to find what it is inside your heart, like how to listen to your heart. We've had that show, and how to recognize what makes you happy and what fulfills you and help you to extend that, your message and love out there into the world. And so I'm really, really happy that I have a special guest today. And when I think of Brian, he's a new fella in my world of connections and stuff, and I love reading everything that he does and posts, and I know you will too. Well, Brian is quite a bit of a he just does everything and everything. So when I posted this morning about time to wake up, my gosh, you'd have to be awake to do everything that he does. So let me introduce you to Brian Benson, his mission and what he really does. And Brian's mission is, as he's created Reawaken Media, he really wants to help you guys all connected to your personal truth, so you can live your authentic life, so you can enjoy a fulfilling life. And through his journey, he shares about his journey, which is like a big journey of his self-growth, discovery, and accomplishment. But he also gives us a fun taste because he's an author, and I'm going to go through what he is. He's an award-winning author. He's an actor. He's a TEDx speaker. He's a coach. He's a 4-time Ironman. He's a filmmaker. And, of course, as I mentioned, he's the founder of Reawaken Media. But the fun thing is, and this has really caught my attention, and I've shared this with him, he has written a book, and it's called Lucy and Chester's Amazing Adventures. And, of course, I was drawn to this because my cat's name is Lucy, and Chester is a cat. So I thought, okay, there's a connection here. And whenever that's what fuels me. That's what drives my passion is just being happy about things. So, Brian, thank you so much for doing what you do, and especially for being here to share with our listeners today. Thank you, Brian. Welcome.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Lisa.
when I go through your list of things, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like you should be 80 to have accomplished all that in this time. Like, where are you getting this energy from?
Oh, that's such a great question. It's some of the things that I've done, it feels like a lifetime ago or a different lifetime, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's, I don't know. It's just stuff happens. I can't explain it. I'm not always just working. I really try hard to stay in balance and exercise and take some time to quiet my mind and you know what I mean? And just rest and refill my cup. And it's not always easy, but I really do that. And I've kind of learned to trust that when I need something to happen or to work on something or to be creative, I've gotten to the point where I can just trust that it will come through me when I need to do it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And sometimes some of the things that I've worked on, some of the books I've worked on, have just kind of poured through me. And so it wasn't like I was, grinding over the laptop trying to create it. I just kind of felt like more like a conduit. And so I just listen to my intuition and just kind of follow it to whatever project feels right at the moment, or, that can really help me learn and grow and work on my own self-growth process as well.
Right. Oh, actually, this is going to be a great question for me, because I'm curious.
Yeah.
When, I love that you said that, like more like a conduit. So you couldn't listen because you were so, I don't mean the word distracted, but something like all filled up and you couldn't hear. And if you ever were, I'm hoping at least once you've experienced that, how did you recognize it and then get out of that busy spot so you could still be your conduit?
Wow, it's easier. You cut out just a little bit at the start of the question, but I think I got what you were asking. How do I kind of get through those times when I'm not able to be creative and stuff? Is that what you were? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's no coincidence that my very first book was on a whole bunch of different ways to stay in balance. As I worked on that for myself personally, my intuition just said, all right, expand the list and write a book with a whole bunch of different ways to stay in balance. And so I've kind of used that as my foundation all these years. And I really do a pretty good job of staying in balance for the most part. Now, I realize it's kind of a moving target and we're not always going to be in balance, but by doing a lot of the things in the book, I've kind of made habit. And so that allows me to flow through those difficult times easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and there are times definitely when I just, there's this inner drive in me that gets me into trouble sometimes, where I'm trying to push and make things happen. And it's what my body is really telling me is I need to just stop and take a day off, take 2 days off and refill. I've actually just hit the road and taken a couple of weeks off, when I really, really needed it. So I just, they get easier to spot when they're coming up. And so I do the best that I can to honor those feelings when I need a break. And it wasn't always easy at first, and it caused me some grief, but it gets better.
Right. Well, you bike across, so you cycle and you've gone some distances. Where have you gone and how long have you been cycling?
Well, I got into bicycling way back. I mean, obviously as a kid, I'd ride my bike to school, but I really got into it when I started doing triathlons when I was in college. And so, I did a lot of racing and races and trained a lot and really enjoyed it. And a few years after I did a whole bunch of triathlon races, I'd always wanted to ride my bicycle across the United States. And I just happened to be in this little pocket of about a 5-month period where I was in between work. And magically, this opportunity presented itself where there was this fundraiser that was riding across the United States. And so I signed up and I did it. And so it was just a magical experience. I rode my bike from Seattle, Washington to Washington, D.C. with a group of 20 other people. Yeah, and we stayed in tiny little towns and we went to big cities. I mean, it was already planned out for us. We went to Chicago and Minneapolis and Pittsburgh, and we went through tiny places. We rode through Yellowstone. We stayed on an Indian reservation just outside of, or in Montana, just outside of the battle, the little Bighorn battlefield. So that was fascinating, and an abbey with monks in North Dakota, and just
oh my gosh, that sounds incredible.
All kinds of the whole gamut of experiences of America.
Are you using any of those experiences from the trip in Lucy's book, Lucy and Chester?
No, it's kind of it's its own little kind of special thing. I've done little blogs on I think some of the experiences on my bike trip, and I'll probably write more about it in the future. But yeah.
So that one, how long did it take to do that trip?
I think we rode for 9 weeks. We averaged 75 miles a day.
Oh my gosh. That is the epitome of, in my mind, how everybody uses the analogy, like, okay, it's something you're trying to tackle in life and you have to do all those, here it was where I am, this is where I want to be. And you really did that. Like your life experience is truly just like that analogy. You got all the little stops planned out for you. And I'm really, so happy to hear that you did it for a charity. Like did that fuel you? Did that help drive you and push you because you were doing it for a cause?
Yeah, I think for sure. I just felt so alive during the entire journey. Just talking about freedom and just having basically we all traveled light. We probably all had 3 T-shirts and a couple pairs of bike shorts and what have you. But it just really felt amazing, kind of being so stripped down of everything. And at that time, it was 1996. There wasn't any. I don't think we had any cell phones or anything like that. And it was just really pure. And we connected with all the different communities that we rode through and really made a lot of great connections and friends. And so, it was cool. Every once a week we would stay in a place for 2 days and we'd do a community service project there. And so that was nice. And so knowing that we were, raising money for worthy causes was just icing on the cake.
Oh, I love that you had that, the service project along the stops. There's something you said, just because we have still a minute here or so before commercial, but you said something, I love that. You said it felt a lot, like you didn't have cell phones, so you felt a lot more pure, but the very next word was you still felt so connected. And do you feel that when you do need to listen to what's, what you're receiving or feeling, that you do need to unplug kind of from all the technology?
For sure. There's times it's really interesting. I think it just depends because there's times maybe when we do feel connected on social media with others when we're sharing something or supporting another, you know what I mean? But there's also times when it can be detrimental to us in a kind of a codependent way or what have you. But I think for me, I definitely need to unplug a little bit. I try to meditate a little bit every day and just turn my brain off because it's working a lot.
Yes,
but so I think for sure you definitely need to unplug, but yet,
No, I appreciate that because some people are great, and you brought up some really great things that people can feel more connected because they're sharing and they're being supported, but then they have to watch that delicate balance of, like what you mentioned, codependency going on, and do we need it kind of thing. When we get back from commercial break, because this is exciting that you've done a TED Talk, and I would love for you to be able to share with us what that was about and how that kind of changed what was going on for you. So when we come back, great, thank you. Well, after the commercial.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, and of course, companionship. Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
Fantastic cat. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
And we're back. We're here with Brian Benson, and just so loving all these stories and fun things that he's done. And he's going to share with us about a TED Talk that he's done. And I'm excited to hear about this. When did you do the TED Talk, and what was it all about?
I did. It was a TEDx, officially a TEDx talk, and I did it in Pasadena, California, a couple of years ago.
Wow, that is recent.
Yeah, and it was titled Be Yourself to Free Yourself, with a subtitle of How I Found My Personal Freedom. And basically I kind of told the story of about 8 years ago, I left my family business kind of into the unknown, and I shared just kind of my journey, and I had, no plans of writing or acting, or none of that was on my radar, and I'd never done any of it before. And so I just kind of shared how one thing led to another, and I wove that story through 5 points that I learned and utilized.
Okay, those 5 points then.
Yes.
How did you, okay, because this is interesting. Were they like 5 highlighted moments in your life that you went, okay, yeah, that was a big lesson. Like that was a big thing that got me to the next step?
Yeah, I mean, I think almost maybe even more so, just things that I learned this last 8 years that were really important lessons for me that I continue to kind of honor to this day, and I kind of want to, alert other people to as well. I'm happy to share them if you want.
I would love that. Yes, please.
Yeah. So number 1 was listen to your intuition and be open to whatever comes your way. And number 2 was step out of your comfort zone. Ooh,
I'm going to talk to you about that one in a minute.
Yep. And 3 was stay in life balance. Okay. And 4 was have fun and enjoy the ride. Aww. And 5 is there are no rules. Expect the unexpected.
Oh, okay. I would love to ask some questions about that one.
Yeah.
The first, so listen to intuition and be open. I like that one. I think a lot of people will say, okay, you know what? I don't like to sometimes, and maybe I don't trust it all the time. But a big question for me is step out of your comfort zone. Now, just hearing that makes me feel uncomfortable. And so I was like, who wants to do that? I don't want to do that. And what is...
You already are.
Yeah, I know. Even now, just talking about it. But first of all, why should we step out of our comfort zone, and how can we do it so that we do feel safe stepping out of our comfort zone?
Well, I don't know if there's an exact way to feel safe. I mean, depending on what it is, you can prepare yourself for it, I suppose, a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But eventually, it wouldn't really be stepping out of your comfort zone if it wasn't a little bit uncomfortable.
Right.
But the good news is that I've found that 99.9% of the time it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, we usually make it like this big giant thing in our brains. Well, and as I do have all, authors on the show, that has got to be like what you said. You didn't even know you were going to be an actor or maybe write a book or anything. So how scary was that for you to step into that uncomfortable place to do it?
Well, very, very scary. I mean, basically, to just take a half a step back, the reason all this started kind of happening was because when I ran my family's business for 11 years up in Oregon. We had a golf center, a driving range, a retail golf store, and a 9-hole par 3 course. And I'd been running that for 11 years, and I just started feeling like I felt like I was supposed to do something else with my life, and I had no idea what it was. And probably feeling a little burnt out, like I'd been was finished growing there. And so had a chat with my dad, and he was understanding, and he decided that we should sell it. And so it took a year for me to be able to actually leave after that conversation, because we had to list it and go through the whole process of finding a purchaser. Yeah. And so I was so ready to just hit the road, even though I didn't know what I was going to do. And one day I was just really feeling out of balance, and I just sat down and wrote down 5 things that I knew that would help me stay in balance during this period. And I focused on them, and they helped me. And then I just started feeling like, man, maybe I should expand the list and write a book. And so that's how my first book happened. And it just kind of, magically happened. And I wrote it while I was there at the very last tail end of being at work. And so the whole process of kind of starting to step out of my comfort zone occurred kind of after the book came out, because I didn't sell a whole lot initially because I wasn't really owning it, and I didn't know how to at the time. It was in 2009. You know what I mean? And I was terrified to speak in front of people too. And so that's where everything kind of started to move. I started just, I knew that I would need to learn how to become more comfortable. And so I then moved to Reno, Nevada to be near my son, who lived about 30 miles away in Northern California while he was in high school. And so I started just reconnecting with him and just kind of reinventing myself. But to overcome the stepping out of the comfort zone part, I joined a couple of community college speech classes. I did Toastmasters for a little while. I created an interactive workshop to work with the book. I hired someone to be a co-host with me on an internet radio show who's been doing it for a while. I just did all kinds of crazy things to step out of my comfort zone. And I actually even took an acting class too. And I had no plans on acting. But after it was finished, I had a dream. I woke up and wrote down what came to me. And then I met a young filmmaker a few weeks after that and said, hey, I've never acted before. I don't know how to make a film, but I think I have a pretty good idea. Would you like to do this with me? And he said, sure. And thank God he was very talented, and we worked well together. But we made this movie, my first short film, Guitar Man, on the streets of Reno over the course of about 3 or 4 nights. And it did well at film festivals, and it just really empowered me, because I'd never played guitar in front of anybody either in person. I was a closet guitarist, and then I was acting, and it still gets a lot of views online. It's kind of crazy, but it just woke me up to the potential of acting, and I think that's what led me to move to LA 4 years ago to work on everything. But acting has been a really huge part of my growth process and learning and just really solidifying my foundation. And, learning about myself, being comfortable in front of others, feeling in front of others. I mean, the classes I took, they were with a lot of really talented people. I had to, here I was kind of brand new. And so it never got really comfortable, but it got a little easier. But, it's just, you do what you feel like you're supposed to do.
What was your biggest fear prior to doing all those things? Like, what did you fear the most would happen? Like, no, I can't, I don't want to do this and I can't do that. Or you didn't, what was the
for
worst
acting
thing?
Or for speaking or for just
kind of for everything? Yeah. What was your biggest fear about stepping out into the public like that? Like, what did you think would happen to you? Did you you melt or something? Or,
Well, I don't know if anything. Yeah, I don't think I'd explode or anything like that. But everybody has this feeling, worry probably of failure. And at the time, my self-worthiness wasn't where it's at now. And so it kind of, I was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I was trying to work on my own, my own growth process in that regard, as well as kind of developing skills and abilities to be able to convey messages and be myself, authentic self in front of others. But I think to answer your question, all of the things that I did were scary, but the one that probably was the craziest and scariest was 2 weeks after I put that interactive workshop together. I made it interactive so I wouldn't have to speak the whole time. I made kind of questions and stuff, but it actually turned out really good. I did a test run in front of 5 of my friends, and they really enjoyed it. So I just started getting on the phone, and I put together a 6 states, 15-stop, 3-week trip. 2 weeks after I did that initial thing, I created this workshop and book signing tour. And that was very humbling, because probably a third of the places nobody showed up. But I needed to go through that process, and running these workshops in front of strangers. And And it went well. I mean, it was terrifying, but I grew a lot from it and gained a lot of great feedback. And so I'm very grateful for that experience, even though it was out there.
You know, I want to really thank you for sharing that, because
sure.
Like you just like, first of all, I think that is probably one of our biggest fears, whether you're an author or a songwriter or you have it with this, or an artist, you know, something that you want to show to the world, and you think, what if nobody comes? What if nobody likes it? What if this? And you do have to face that, because sometimes that really does happen.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you for sharing. And during that time, I guess there's just a lot that grows within that moment of like, nobody showed. That's, you know, you don't get all have
well,
a
one
fit.
person, and so then they get a personal workshop, you know? Just do what you got to do.
Yes, and that still is practice, though, and still is an experience for you. Now, you use a lot of, I just think of the word imagination when I think of you. And it's, well, especially because this is like, I'm so excited to read the book. Lucy and Chester's Adventures. No, wait, is it The Great Adventures? Hold on, I want to make sure I say this right, because
Lucy and Chester's Amazing Adventures.
Yes, and it's so fun. Like when you just look at the cover, it just makes you happy. And imagination for everybody. I mean, that's our that's our creative juices. It's our everything. In that book, how did you come up with that? First of all, the title and the thought of it, where did that even come from?
Oh boy. It's hard to explain. A lot of the kids' stories I have 2 books out now, or soon to have 2 books out, but I have a whole bunch of stories I haven't done anything with, and I wrote those a long time ago before I left the family business, and they just I never planned on doing anything with them. It was almost just a mental exercise for me, because I like to write in rhyming form, and so it was like a big jigsaw puzzle trying to put a story together that rhymed. And so, you know, I honestly don't remember where I came up with some of the ideas originally, but I just just had a fun experience putting them together. And you know, the first one that came out last year was Steve the Alien, and I originally started that in 2004, and I got stuck halfway through. I put it away, and I ended up finishing it in 2007. And then when I moved to Reno, I met a guy who worked for a company that made moving picture apps for children's books. And, you know, until I ended up signing a contract for them to do 5 of my stories, and they were starting work on them and looking fantastic, and then they ran out of money. And so they never got finished, and they sat around for a couple of years, and I finally just asked to be released from my contract. And I just, last year, I just said, you know what, it's time. And so I self-published Steve the Alien and found an amazing illustrator and just manifested the whole project together. And so that was a lot of fun. And so I just did it again with Lucy and Chester's Amazing Adventures.
I have to tell you something funny. I didn't realize this again, but I have a frog named Steve, and he looks like an alien.
Well, there you go.
You're picking some great names here.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember seeing the cover of that one too. That's really yet another interesting thing that you had to deal with. You had thought, you know, something you created, your piece of work was on a journey. It was on an adventure. Here we go. It's going to be, you know, in a movie app, and then we're not going anywhere. And so that also takes courage for you. I just want to commend you again to be able to ask to be released from contract, because sometimes we can get scared to even have our own freedom. There's that word for you, freedom.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. You know, like I said, I just followed my gut. And
that came up on Surprise. I'm so sorry. The commercials. I'm sorry. I was so into your story. Okay, when we get back, we are so continuing that. Okay.
Awesome.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Times Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And we're back. You guys are listening to Light on Living. We're here with Brian Benson, founder of Reawaken Media. And just before we scooched off to that surprise commercial in my world, so still listening to your stories, I have so many things in my head. You had decided that your work still had a journey to go on to. It was not meant to just be, created and left aside to do something. So you've really felt, a couple questions here. When you finally realized that you wanted all of your stories to have a bigger purpose, did you have a thing in mind that you felt like this is the mission it was going to do and these are the people it was going to affect and this is what the result would be? Or how did that happen for you that you vision?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the kids book or for everything in general?
I think everything but yes and the kids, because that's a very niche market to go that way.
Yeah, I'm one that just kind of does before I really plan and think. It's hard. I mean, a lot of things I've done didn't really make sense at first, but looking back, they all just kind of played a crucial or part in my own growth process, or maybe connecting me with somebody else who played a part in my growth process, or connecting me with someone who gave me an opportunity, or, you know what I mean? So everything has definitely, there are no accidents, and everything's been perfect the way that it's happened, but it may not have seemed like it at the time. And in my own mind, I think, when I was 3, I told my mom that I was put here to inspire people. And I know that's silly, but I just finally, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of doing it with shaking knees. It's not like I crave the limelight or anything. I just feel like it's my mission to just kind of just remind people that they're enough and with who they are and what they have to work with, and just try to, it's so cliche, but look inside instead of outside for your happiness, and try to nurture your creativity. And there's so many different ways to do it. And just, I don't know, I feel like I was here to be kind of put as a living example. And I don't really ever tell anybody what to do, but I just try to share and lead by example. And so I don't know if I have any particular specific messages in general, but I think, in all the different projects that I put out, they probably have their own unique message, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
so neat that you're so young and recognize that. And you probably, you know what, now I get why you've done all the stuff you've done, because you recognized so early and you went, all right, if I want to lead this example, I'm going to have to do a lot to really get people, because that is very attention grabbing. Like I go through the list and I'm like, oh, wow, you've done so much. And now hearing about how, yes, you yourself had to step, out of the comfort zone and do that. And when I'm going through your 5 points there about listening to your intuition and being open, it sounds like you're very whimsical. So that's good. Like you're definitely open. And we got to stepping out of the comfort, and then speaking about the balance. Now, when I think of balance, well, see, I'm a Libra, so I often think about balance and justice in my world. But what do you think would be a couple signs that people could recognize and say, ooh, I am out of balance, because this is going on? What are a couple things that you see in people when you notice that they are out of that balance?
Well, if they're tired, if they're feeling kind of stuck, if they're just, things aren't flowing like they normally do. There could be a lot of reasons why someone's out of balance. I mean, there could be something just as simple as maybe just needing to take a break, but it could also be in a toxic relationship, or you could be in a work environment that doesn't work for you and you're not supported in. You know what I mean? There's a huge gamut of things in different levels of being out of balance, but those are some. And for me, just, at the work environment I was in, it wasn't like it was toxic. It just, I was finished there.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful that you said that. And some people might think, that's not, my work's not toxic, so maybe I should stay. But sometimes staying is toxic. And it's tough because I think we're all wired differently, and definitely, I know that I'm wired differently than some, and others are wired differently than I. And there's that's wonderful, because we're all unique and similar in a lot of ways, but we're also unique and different. Mm-hmm. But security is fantastic for some people, and they want that, and they give them a sense of peace of mind, and other people have to do things differently, kind of like maybe I'm doing it. And I've had to, live frugally and just kind of continue to reinvest in myself with all the stuff that I'm doing as I try to reach my intentions. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. And so we all have different levels of comfort and comfort zones, and what makes us happy, I guess, in our day-to-day lives. And with that goals, I mean, some people really want to be in a committed, secure relationship and get married, and others, I don't know, it's all good. It's all good. And well, that's kind of like your number 5.
I went on a tangent there.
No, I love that. Well, because that really opens up, and I want to say thank you ahead of time, because you gave me free reign. I could ask you lots of questions, and because now I know that number 5 is no rules. Right? I really love that you did bring up about we try to live frugally, because we are basically reinvest. There's a lot of us, and I remember putting myself in there too, that we are on this constant roller coaster of investing in ourselves, and finances come up a lot, because everything, like, how, I'm going to just come right at us, it's like, how did the financing go for the fit? Like, how does one even stand back and go, my gosh, like, I just don't have the money for it, or how could I raise it or get it? And then it gets stressful.
Yeah, that definitely is another stress. And at times I've gone through it, and and other times I've been blessed, and just through some acting jobs, or a stroke of luck, or a little small family inheritance, or whatever you want to, what I mean. I've just been able to. I had a little bit of money coming out of the sale, not a ton, but I mean enough to get me going, and I've just been able to manifest this journey and to make it happen.
Oh, well, I love that, because I think that comes a lot of honesty. I mean, the things that I do think about, what I hear from people, their stresses are, like you said, their workplace, the relationships, the finances, and then health, which I don't get to hear that often, but that's kind of like on the back burner. Now, you doing all the like, you're so active. I would love to hear your regime. Like, do you have like something that you do every day to keep not just fit, but I mean fit, like, all of you fit, mentally, everything?
Well, yeah, I mean, I obviously used to race and exercise a lot. I mean, I stopped doing the triathlons in 2006. That was the last year that I did an Ironman. And since then, up until this year, I just did a lot of walking and hiking and just a little bit of riding on a spin bike, but not a whole lot. Just kind of took it easy. But this year, I kind of felt like I needed to wake my body up again. So I started doing CrossFit about 3 months ago. And that's been really good, and it's kicked my butt. And I'm like twice as old as most of the people in the class, but it's woke me up. And I tend to do better when I'm in shape. It just gives me a little bit more confidence, which carries over into everything else. Mm-hmm. And so that's something. Make sure I'm getting enough sleep.
Safe to say that It's safe to say that you've reawakened.
Definitely. So exercise is there's like 3 or 4 things that I have to do to stay in my routine. And, you know, in flows, get enough sleep, exercise, eat healthy. I eat a pretty paleo diet, which, you know, chicken and turkey and fish and a lot of greens and fruits and not a lot of carbs. You know, a little bit. I'm not weird about it, but that works for me. And meditation, and, you know, being creative and I'm trying to be more social too, because I'm an outgoing introvert, and it's really easy for me just to stay at home and watch some Netflix or just work. And so I'm getting out more, and that's been good for me as well.
Yeah, thank you again for bringing that up. I remember reading that on your Facebook, and you really, oh my gosh, when you did that, I perked right up. So I was, oh my gosh, he actually just said, I am. Now, what was that term you called it? You're an
outgoing introvert.
Yes, that is so perfect. I'm an outgoing introvert is what you wrote. And you said, so I'm stepping out of my comfort, or I don't know if you said stepping out of your comfort zone, but you said anybody, if they'd like to know anything about me, and it was right on your wall. I mean, you can't shy away.
It was a lot. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that maybe once a week. It was fun. I mean, I got some great questions, and
wow.
Yeah.
It actually helps you get to know yourself as well, because when you have to explain or talk about yourself to someone else, it's like sometimes they say, what do you do? And I get stumped sometimes because, I should ask you, what do you say you do when people ask? Because you do everything.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, what do you, if I were to say to you and I don't know you and I would say, you say, Brian, what do you do? Like, what would your answer be?
I always say a little bit of everything and then laugh.
Yeah, okay. And that's pretty much it too. I do want to go a little.
It's still evolving.
And it's still evolving, yes, because you don't know, it's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going and going. I'm trying to engage my commercial break, but I'm so excited to hear more about Lucy and Chester's adventure, because even by looking at that cover, I want everybody to buy it, because I already know that they're going to have such an adventure reading it. So if we can, we'll talk a bit about that too, and if the commercial gets to us, then we'll bring it right back.
Perfect. Yeah, basically, it's just kind of I wanted to make kind of an empowering book for girls. And I mean, it's great for boys and girls, but it's basically about a girl, Lucy, who falls asleep and she has a stuffed animal named Chester. And in her dreams, they go on all these different adventures around the world and into space. And so it's not only kind of having her doing a lot of unique, kind of cool, fun things, but, it's I don't know, it's just kind of, I want to wake people up just to, you know, the imagination and empowerment and it's fun, and it's rhyming and it just kind of it flows in a fun way. And
is it in sections? Like, is it per adventure, kind of like chapters? Because I think children's books are a little different than people books, adult books.
Yeah, no, there's no chapters. It's just I kind of try to have it go in the flow around the world, region-wise, but the drawings are amazing by my illustrator Paul Hernandez, and we work really well together. And then I just have little 2-line rhyming stanzas to go with each thing, and it's just I think it's a fun read. It's I don't know. I think it's just kind of it feels good. I mean, I'm really excited about it. I mean, I'm very proud of Steve Galen. Really proud of that, but I'm really excited about this book.
And who published it? Did you self-publish or?
Yeah, I'm doing it through Ingram Spark, and so basically they're kind of a print on demand. But are we coming up on a?
We are. I was like, I hear it coming. Okay, let's get back to Lucy and Chester after the commercial.
Perfect. Okay.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow.
I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
All right, there we are back after from the commercial to Light on Living, and we've got Brian Benson here, and we just left off. I think I just like saying the name Lucy because of my cat, but the Adventures of Lucy and Chester. And Brian, I'm excited. Thank you so much for reminding us that it rhymes and it's full of adventure and it's in outer space in this world. But I have a question. Now, you mentioned earlier that you have a son. Now, I didn't hear you say a daughter, but you said this book is kind of about empowering for girls. How did that come about?
I don't know. I just want to try to reach everybody a little bit and let them all, whether a man, a woman, boy, girl, what have you, just to try to put some positive energy out there and to just let everybody know that they're okay and that they can, do what they want to do if they want to do it. And so I just felt drawn to putting this book together.
No, well, I love that. It's beautiful. Now, can you see yourself, because you are a filmmaker, will this go into the movie yet, like into film as well?
Oh gosh, I have not even this first time I've even thought about that. I mean, it'd be really cool to have it be a cartoon.
Yeah.
I'm open to that, and I'm open to a lot of stuff.
Yes, I know. I love that. I think that's the one thing I really want the listeners to hear from you and be inspired by. That alone is being open and not. There's one thing to be stagnant, but sometimes we do get stuck in the stagnation. We literally don't know how to have no rules. We don't know how to let things happen and hear things. So I love that you're writing these books because, like as you just said, it could be even an adult could read this book. I read a children's book the other day. I was going through boxes and came across a child's book, and I went, oh, this is actually really good. And, and it's fun. And it just reminds us that we can play, we can play a little bit with our lives and just keep that, as you said, in balance. First of all, where can they go to see this amazing artwork and read the story and find you?
Yeah. Well, the book has not officially been launched yet. I should be receiving the proof copy today. So, but you can pre-order it on my website at the letter G. I go by my middle name, Brian, brianbenson.com. And it'll obviously be up on Amazon here probably in a week or two. But right now you can pre-order it on my website.
Oh, and would they get that for Christmas, do you think? Would that be in time?
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, let's all put that in the
proof isn't exactly right. They have to make tweaks, and so I'm crossing my fingers that it looks just right.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yes, that makes sense. Well, kind of honored that hopefully you received the proof on the day that we're doing this show. It kind of, it adds to that, the support network for the book. I always believe that books have their own journey. Will you?
Yeah, well, it's definitely made me, I've had to be patient about this. I mean, I'd love to have it come out for Christmas obviously, but I'm just kind of going with the flow.
Yes, you won't be all. Now, the thing is, you've created Reawaken Media, and under that umbrella, do you accept other authors, or is this just all for you, or how does that work? How does the Reawaken Media work?
Well, no, that's a great question. I started it to be kind of an umbrella for all the different things that I do myself. And, you know, and I'm open to doing with other people eventually. I'm probably not quite there yet, but getting closer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want it to be just kind of a trusted logo and brand of you know, positive, uplifting, conscious media.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's why you're here with the conscious community on Own Times.
Yes, I am.
Now, I would love for you just to share with any listeners out there, anybody at all who has or is going to write a book and do a book. I'm just going back because you said you created your own book tour. I find this fascinating. How do you even start that? Like everywhere from.
I picked out a route, and I was in Reno at the time, so I kind of had it go through parts of Utah into Colorado, and then down into New Mexico, and then through parts of Southern California, and then, you know, back home. And I just kind of created a loop, and then I just got on the phone and started calling all the cities and Googling bookstores and centers for spiritual living, and just started making phone calls. And the very first place I went to was in tiny Delta, Utah. It's a little farming community kind of near, I think, the border of Utah and Nevada. And I had to go across the desert. It was probably a 9 or 10 hour drive, so that was my first stop. And so when I was putting it together, I called the Chamber of Commerce and I said, you know, do you by chance have any, you know, bookstores or what have you in town? She said, well, we're kind of small. We don't. And I told her what I wanted to do, and she said, well, how'd you like to speak at our monthly chamber luncheon? And I just gulped and said yes. And so that was my first thing. And oh my God, was I nervous. I mean, there was like 10 people there, but they're eating lunch while I'm trying to do my interactive workshop. And it went fine, but it was still. Well,
you know what? That's guts, and I'm so glad because you have such a belief and faith in it. But now, so did the bookstores don't carry your book at that time? So how would
I just brought them with me.
And did you offer them, like, how does that work? If somebody's out there thinking, okay, I want to do this, like, were you offering them out of the book sales, they get something, or how does that work?
No, I just offered the workshop for free, and then just, and then made the books available at the end, and I think maybe 5 or 6 people bought them, so that was nice of them. And that's just kind of what I did. I just knew that I needed to kind of break myself in.
Right.
And that's what I did.
So this interactive workshop, is it something you still do?
I haven't done it for a while, but I could. Yeah, absolutely. It's called An Introduction to Balance.
Oh, okay.
And it was very. Go ahead.
Oh, because I was thinking that's not the 5 steps, because balance was the third in the 5, so it's different.
Yeah. No, the TEDx talk is different. This is just kind of all on kind of like maybe identifying, kind of trying to help bring self-awareness to the participants on balance itself, and maybe find out where they're in balance, where they're not, and then just we do a lot of joint communication, and so there's just a lot of great ideas thrown about, and it's just a great way for people just to really gain a lot of self-awareness in a couple of hours.
Okay. So you said if somebody's out there listening right now and they would like to have you come and do a workshop, you would be willing to pick that back up, and you could do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we need to everybody wants to share your full email address. It's G, and then it's Brian, BRIAN, Benson, BENSON.com, or they can just probably Google Reawaken Media as well. And
Yep, that'll take you to the website too, and the email is just gbrianbenson@gmail.com.
Right, and so right now, what is your focus? Your focus is The Adventures of Lucy and Chester?
Yep. Doing that, getting have the launch be successful, whether it's in a week or 3 weeks.
Okay. Yes.
And yes, that, and I'm knocking on wood. I'm in talks to have a book published, self-help book published with a company, and so I can't really say much more now, but I'm really excited about that, and that'll be for next year. I would love for that to happen, and I've got a small part on a TV show that is first episode's up on Amazon Prime called Sangre Negra, meaning black blood in Spanish.
Oh.
And it's kind of a cross between The Sopranos and Dallas. And Yep, and it stars Eric Estrada, who used to be in Chips, and Eric Roberts is in it, and it's been a fun experience. Yeah.
So he's still acting. Oh my goodness, that's fun. I love that show, Chips. Oh.
yeah.
I had a monkey that I
got a lot of fun things.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, in amongst all that and everything going on, will you, with the book launch, will you do a tour? Where can we find you? Or if somebody wants to come see you when you're doing the tour, do you know what location you're going to be doing?
I don't yet. I know that I have one book signing and reading in LA in January for the children's books.
Okay.
So, but that's it right now. I'm always open to coming and, I can give a presentation on a whole bunch of stuff and have just kind of a fun couple hours of chatting and answering questions and just talking about everything. I'd love to do that as well. And I'm open to traveling for that. And
well, you have that really comforting and calm voice and demeanor about you, it does make them feel safe to kind of listen to themselves. I want to ask you, so with your son, do you feel that does your son like your books? Has he read them and looked at them, and does he think what you're doing is awesome?
Well, I think, he's 23, and I'm very, very proud of him. He's an amazing photographer and videographer, and you can actually look at his work on solportraits.com. But he does a lot of action sports work, race car series and snowboarding and stuff, and he's really talented. But
I'm so glad that you were able to.
He enjoys what I'm doing. Yeah, we're proud of each other.
I love that you're proud of each other. Well, thank you for sharing this entire hour with us. This whole show has just been uplifted. I think everybody feels that way. So thank you so much, Brian. And we'll post everything on Facebook. Thank you. Okay, bye, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.